I mean, how much of what you're wearing, what your character's appearance is going to be, and I largely mean costume, becomes your in for understanding that person that you're going to be playing. Is costume a big part of helping you become that character? Understanding what she's going to wear, is that a great way to sort of figure out who this person is and how you want to play them?
So nowadays, how I do it is I first try to figure out what I think the character is, and then I try to figure out how would this character dress. And then there are these points where we talk as much as possible to the costume designer on board that project to actually create something that is what the character we think would be, and somewhere it has to feel natural to me as well. If I'm playing that part, I have to make it my own. And I have always firmly believed the moment you walk onto a set with that costume and whatever that get-up is, I think if you get it right, I think 50% of the battle is won. And then, of course, you enhance it with everything, your heart and soul and your blood that you put into it. But I think 50% of the battle is won if you get the look right.
Tamanna, have you done films? Do you design? Do you really work on?
Listen, let's not talk about it because
Rather forgotten.
It's a bit traumatic. But I'll tell you my biggest regret in life is, and I only have one regret because I don't regret anything. Mm-hmm. It's I couldn't do Mr. Bhansali's Ram Leela. I was offered to do costume for that, and I couldn't do it for various reasons. And it is the single greatest regret of my life. And at that time, it was meant to be, I think, Kareena and Ranveer in the lead, and we got down to it. I mean, we started thinking of let's go to Kutch and get the costumes and the fabric and this and that. But it was my greatest regret. And also I think I'll never forget that phone call. But no, I never did film after that. I don't think that I'm cut out for it, Rajiv, to be honest. I see how costume designers go through the process of a film. And I think you can either do that and have a very strong team do that, or you can run a brand in a label. And I think I'm cut out to run a brand in a label.
Tamanna, can you talk about sort of costume in film, in modern Hindi cinema, and how that's evolved? I mean, you pointed out, and quite rightly so to me yesterday when we were chatting, that the first Indian to ever win an Oscar was Tamanna Bhatia and you attended her exhibition of her archives recently. Can you talk about the evolution of sort of costume in Hindi cinema over the last maybe 25 years, if you like, or longer?
I think it's come into its own, in a very strong credit. It's really part of what is. I mean, Bhanu, unfortunately, I don't even know how many films she must have done. Hundreds of films that she styled, and for everybody. But she was forgotten. She was pre-internet. By the time the internet came about and by social media came about, by the time the fashion industry was sort of born in India, Bhanu was retired. I think her last film was Swadesh, right? And but now I see so many people who want to style for films, like Riya Kapoor, who I'm a big fan of. I mean, she's a great producer and a director and a fabulous stylist too. She has a film coming out, and all her films sort of are so playful with their costumes as well. And I cannot imagine giving her problem. I would have done it for you. I would have taken your name. I mean, I think it's one of the most beautifully styled films, Bhansali's Ram Leela. For me, also being a fashion sort of writer, it's such an important part of a movie experience to sort of enjoy what the characters are wearing, enjoy how the film is styled. And I find myself enjoying a lot of cinema that may not be a great story in terms of conflict or resolution or whatever. But if the movie stars look good, if the actors look good, I'm happy, and I don't think it's polite to sort of tell you which these films are, but so many films today take their costumes so seriously as much as they do their cinematography or the lighting or something like that. And I think that's really integral course, you know, I mean, I think styling a film is now a prison. Costume is now a prison. It's a new way to sort of approach cinema as technically superior cinema. And I mean, I was talking to Vinod Chopra a couple of months ago just before his amazing 12th Fail release, and you know, we were of course talking about costume and how he's done it, and most of his characters are very, you know, dressed as normal people are. And then there was a film that he made, one of his oldest films, I don't know if you remember it, Khamosh. It's not available digitally, but I recently saw it at a film club. And not only were the actors at the time wearing their own clothes, Tamanna would have been very happy, but they also had their own names, like Soni Rasan plays Soni Rasan, and Shivara Asmi plays Shivara Asmi, and I think Amol Palekar is also himself. Of course, he's a murderer, which is unimaginable. But imagine from that to where we are today, you know, to the glamour that costume sort of brings cinema, to the realism it sort of brings it. And I think actors today are not just, you know, actors, they're also public figures in the age of Instagram. And Deepika Padukone is worth 500 crores, and I don't think all of that is from, you know, her acting. A lot of it is, you know, from her campaigns. So I think looking good and dressing for the part every day, whether you're in the gym or the airport, is such an integral part to the movie starting today.
But is it exhausting, Tamanna?
Well, it's exhausting if you don't enjoy it. So the idea is to start doing things that you enjoy. The moment you start enjoying, like for me, there was a phase where I wanted to dress to the airport. But then there are days I don't want to dress to the airport. There are days I want to wear just a kurta and go, and I do that. Because I feel like your mood is actually a great way to even get inspired. Because I feel like sometimes when you don't have anything in mind, sometimes you come up with something really creative. And I have many a times discovered things when I've been in a lot of constraint. And I feel like creativity comes out of constraint, where you don't have the things you need. So I actually use that as a food for whenever I want to dress up.
You know, Masaba, you're an actor as well now, and a pretty good one. Work in the show, Masaba.
I would work actors.
What is that like? I mean, do you call the shots on what you wear when you're on screen?
Listen, that was really hard not to do. Okay, because I just feel like it was Modern Love. When Masaba season 1, I remember I was like, should I be saying that cushion shouldn't be that color? Is that my department? No, it's art. And then someone screams art, you know? And then something else happens. And I'm like, wow, there's so many people just to move a cushion or whatever, you know? On the fashion piece, I did not get involved, and that's the only advice that I asked my mother for. I said, you know, is this my business? She said, no, not at all. Stay out of it. Let people do their job, you do your job. On this set, you're an actor. So I did that, and I had a great time. But I remember in season 2, I wanted to upgrade, you know, everything that we did, everything from the lighting to the set, the costume, everything was just a step up, because I don't think that season 1 was 100% and very openly calling that out. But I remember in season 2 I said, let's just get an upgrade. And we did that, and we had a lot more fun with costumes. So a lot of even the other cast was much better dressed, and I think we learned because this was a new format. On Modern Love, I think that's the first time, and I agree with what Tamanna said, where 50% of the job of an actor is done when you're dressed to the T, you know, for that part. And I remember in Modern Love, I was playing this girl from Thane, would you believe it? And I was supposed to have like one pair of sneakers and like loose jeans and this boy shirt on top. And my hair was in a ponytail. And I was wearing this liner, you know, that very, I call it the mummy liner, you know, it's just like, it's thick and it doesn't do anything for anyone's eyes. You know, I'm into the winged liner situation. And I remember telling the director, I said, this is not me. He said, yeah, exactly, this is not you, you're not playing yourself, you're playing a character. And that's when I understood the power of how when you dress a certain way, you dress like the character, it does so much of the job that dialogue even cannot do, you know. Your body language changes, the way the chemistry with your co-star changes, everything changes. And I remember I said, can I just have a little bit of a flick? Can I just have a little bit more contouring? He said, no, you can't. You're a regular girl, you can't do all of this. So I really believe in the power of costume to do a lot of the storytelling and introduction for a character before the character can even speak a word. And it's very powerful.
Tamanna, what happens when you're in, I don't want to use the word conflict, that's a strong word, but in disagreement, the way that you see this character might be a little bit different from the way that your director does or your costume designer does, and the disagreement is over the visual element of how this character is going to look. What tends to happen? You also bring years of experience as an actor. Is your voice heard as an actor?
I think today, yes. But what I like to do, and I love doing this with my team, and as you know, Rajiv, films will always be teamwork. Whether we like it or not, it's not one person's perspective that's being put out there. It's one person's vision, yes, but there are lots of different perspectives, energies that come together to create someone's vision. So I think today's filmmakers are a lot more aware that an actor is actually going to make that character his own. So I do have times where there's a disagreement, and whenever there is a disagreement, what I actually do is, like for example, the skin tone that I have. Recently I was supposed to do a look test for something, and they wanted me to try a warmer skin tone. Which I was very happy to explore because I've done it in films like Bahubali, I've done it in films, a Tamil film called Devi. So I've done it a bunch of times. And because I do believe one must fully transform when a character demands it. But even in just in the span of what, Bahubali, 7-8 years ago, the digital the way the digital film camera is capturing us today, it can literally see the pores of our skin. So if I am wearing something that's like a layer on my skin, it's going to look synthetic. It's going to look like makeup, and that's a layer between the audience and me. And that was how I felt about it. But I truly feel because this is a teamwork, we need to make sure that everybody feels the same as we feel. So I went through the process of applying that to then it was my director himself was like, I don't think this works. So I feel like in films we either convince the other person or they get convinced. And when you know you're saying something that's true and strong, you stand by it and you fight for it, and at the end the film should work. After all this drama that we have put through, the last thing that we're hoping is this movie and this character is liked by people. So that's the main goal actually.
Masaba, when you're dressing an actor, it could be for public appearance, it could be for a campaign. Again, are you trying to find what in your sort of atelier suits their personality? Are you trying to get them to be a little brave? What is the push and pull when you're working with actors?
Well, I think because there's stylists for pretty much every actor today, I think it first starts with their vision of the actor that they're styling, and then you sort of go down into okay, what event are they going to, and are they going to be comfortable in this for many hours, or is this something that's just going to be a quick photo op and out, I think it really depends on that. What I do find is that sometimes there is a gap between what the stylist and the actor want, and I always go the extra mile in the way that I say, I think you should give this a shot, because an actor could be looking a certain way. Or sometimes when I'm designing a piece, just recently I was designing something and I just said, this has Alia written all over it. And I just thought of that. And I don't really dress Alia that much. So I think what happens is that you always find pieces that suit a certain personality, but there is that, first there's the stylist assistant, and then there is the stylist, and you know, there's a brief. So I think that's how it typically works. Having said that, I think an actor does have a mind of their own. Like even with Tamanna, you know, every time I've had a conversation with her, she's always very clear about the color. For example, like she's very clear about what color washes her out and what makes her skin really, you know, come out in that sense. So I think they always know. Sonam is somebody like that as well, who really just knows exactly what she'd like to wear. But there are some people who are very, very happy to just go with what the stylist will say. But yeah, there are pieces that I see and I just think that this has this actor written all over it, and I actually sometimes just keep it away and I don't give it to anyone else because I think it will do that person justice. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. But I think that yes, actors, every actor in our country does have a very strong personality, straight from the top all the way down. And I think that they all know their bodies so well. Like, you know, even someone like Kareena really understands her body and its strengths, its weaknesses, everything, and she's very happy to be clear about that. Yeah.
Round of applause for
Ma'am, yeah.
Ma'am, look here.
Center.
Sir. Who's a renowned actor and has won accolades for Telugu, Tamil, and
Sir,
Ma'am, look here.
Camera look.
Sir,
Can we please have a round of applause?
1 minute, 1 minute.
This is the acting related anecdote for all of us here today.
Sir, look here.
Round of applause for
Sir.
Miss Tamanna Bhatia, also very touching of the performance.
Sir, yeah.
Sir, look here.
Round of applause,
Ma'am,
ladies and gentlemen.
okay.
And lastly, for Namrata Sharma Dadaria, who is a
Sir.
fashion critic.
Sir, look here. Please, group photo.
Sir.
Sir,
A little close. Yeah, ready?
look here.
Okay. Ma'am, your solo. Ma'am,
Your solo photo.
a single picture. आपका ही रहेगा मैम. या रेडी मैम, यहाँ देखिए सेंटर. या वेट. थैंक यू.
मैम व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू
बहुत बढ़िया गया एंड राजीव सर मोटिवेट कर रहे थे पूरा पैनल. मी मसाबा नम्रता वेरी वेल फैशन क्रिटिक. सो वी हैड अ ग्रेट पैनल. बहुत सी बातें हुई फिल्मों के बारे में, फैशन के बारे में, सस्टेनेबिलिटी के बारे में. होप लोगों को मज़ा आया. मुझे बहुत मज़ा आया.
मैम जब फैशन के बारे में बात होती है तो अब तक का ऐसा कोई स्टाइल आइकॉनिक या फिर फैशन जो आपको अब तक सबसे ज़्यादा पसंद आया?
मुझे मेरिल स्ट्रीप बहुत पसंद है. अब पहले से अभी.
और व्हाट इज स्पेशल फॉर यू, क्योंकि आप लोग सेलिब्रिटी लोग आपको फॉलो करते हैं, तो आप उसे कैसे देखते हैं?
इट्स अ वे ऑफ एक्सप्रेसिंग योरसेल्फ. हमारी क्रिएटिविटी दर्शाने का एक और तरीका.
मैम आपके लिए अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स के बारे में कुछ
वो अगली बार हम मिलके बात करें.
थैंक यू सो मच.